are good.
Alright, here we go. What's up, everybody? I'm Tony with Khyber Customs.
Hey guys, it's Clay. Welcome back to the channel.
We are here taking a look at the Zastava Arms Z70 rifle.
The Zpap, the new Zpap.
The new Zpap.
Shoot a local match every month, and I'd actually wanted to shoot one of these, so I put out a feeler on Instagram. If anyone has one, I'd love to borrow it. The guy I shoot with, Vladimir, said, hey, I have one brand new in the box. Love for you guys to put the first rounds through it and just put it on the channel. So thank you, Vladimir. This is totally submitted by a viewer. We put the first rounds through it. In fact, if you haven't seen those videos yet, we shoot this thing brand new out of the box as you see it. I'll put that link down below. Then we pimp it out, go destroy a match with it. We did pretty good. That link is also down below. So today, I'm here with my local historian slash Khyber purveyor of Khyber custom parts. Anyway, he is going to do something really cool for you guys. He's going to compare basically a commercial grade yugo pattern Zastava, the Zpap, to a more military grade M70 built on a parts kit. There's quite a few differences, and there's quite a few things that this gun actually has that the old gun doesn't have. We'll get into all that in the video today.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with you, full disclosure, Clay. I got into AKs about 10 years ago, and I had to choose what rabbit hole to go down. It was either the Chinese guns, the Russian, Bulgarian AKM pattern guns, or the Yugos. And to be honest with you, I never really went too far down the Yugo rabbit hole. In fact, the M70 you're going to see is probably one of the first Yugo pattern type rifles that I have in my collection. So I will tell you, in the process of leading up to this video, I looked up on Wikipedia and I did a little bit of research to really understand a little bit more about Zastava. Interestingly enough, Zastava's been manufacturing rifles for many, many years. The M70, which was is basically a derivative of the AKM pattern, was brought into service in 1970, hence the M70. There are a lot of different variations that have underfolding stocks, fixed stock like the one you see here, milled receiver, stamped receiver. Ultimately, what you're seeing here is a rifle that is being manufactured by Zastava in Serbia for the commercial market here in the United States. So they're using a bulged RPK style front trunnion, a stamped style receiver with the standard Yugo style furniture on the front and a fixed buttstock in the rear. I think one of the interesting things that we're seeing, which is really cool, is they're one of the only kind of new manufactured rifles that you can go pick up today that they actually give you the cleaning rod at no additional cost. I know one of the biggest complaints with some of these other manufacturers is people are like, you couldn't give me a damn cleaning rod.
It doesn't look right. No AK looks right without a cleaning rod. If it's going to be in a standard config like this, so no gunsmithing, no short barrels, you got to have the cleaning rod on a 16-inch barrel.
One thing I will give credit to the Yugo style rifles is they are absolutely built like tanks. When you hold one of these for the first time compared to, you know, maybe one of the Bulgarian rifles or the Egyptian, Polish, Hungarian style rifles, you can absolutely tell a difference. The barrels are heavier, they're cut to more AK-47 style profile versus the AKM, so there's a thicker barrel. The furniture, you've actually got the 3 vent holes versus the 2 that you would find on AKM. The receivers are actually 1.5 millimeter versus 1 millimeter. You've got an RPK style front trunnion versus the slab side. So there's a lot of features here that really kind of add to that kind of feeling like you're holding a tank. It's a really well built rifle. But the biggest challenge with Yugo rifles, unfortunately, is that they don't take AKM style furniture. And I would argue that probably 80% of the aftermarket accessories that are out there are built for AKM pattern, not for Yugo. So one of the things you need to be prepared for when you own one of these is you're going to have to do a little bit of research and a little bit of hunting to try to find some accessories. We'll talk about that a little bit later because I'm here with Khyber Customs, and there are some things that we have here. We'll talk about that later. You kind of alluded to a little earlier that this gun has some features that you may not find on one of the more military style Yugo parts kits.
Yep. There's a big one.
Yeah, so I see 2. Tell me the big one that you've got in mind.
Chrome line barrel and bore.
So I think the chrome line barrel is really kind of a response to what the civilian market here in the United States was kind of asking for. Is like, we have the tooling, you guys have the modern manufacturing methods now. Like, legitimately, how much more does it cost to put chrome lining in a barrel? And Zastava did it.
Yeah, totally for us, for the American commercial market.
Another cool feature is the side rail here. You'll notice on the military parts kit that we have here, it doesn't have a side rail on it either.
Yep, big one.
But that being said, there are some features that are on the old military guns that you're not seeing on the civilian guns, and maybe now's a good time to maybe take a close look at that. What do you think?
Let's swap.
Okay.
Right off the bat, what is this?
It is a M70 that we rebuilt on a re-weld receiver, so this is about as close to a factory gun as you can get. It's a post sample. We are an 0702 manufacturer, which gives us the hall pass to be able to do things like that. It's a kind of a unique experience here to kind of see what it looks like taking a gun from a parts kit and build it into a gun that is essentially bringing it back to life.
So you should expect to see this go full turbo on the channel eventually.
Oh, that thing is...
Maybe, if you play your cards right.
In fact, you just heard him off camera. I'm going to bring the builder on camera. Cody at Weapon Genetics threw this thing together in time for this video, for your viewing pleasure. So you've seen him on the channel before, dressed like a Rhodesian. His shorts were a little out of spec. It's not a big deal. Maybe it is, whatever. Let me bring him in.
Yep. Come on in, Cody. Cody is like, I always say he is like our resident wild man. We lean on him a lot to help us to really kind of understand what it takes to properly put together a rifle. You can reach out to him. There will probably be a link down in the description where you can find Cody and reach out to him. If you're coming to KALASHBASH, you'll see him there in person. Cody, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you kind of observed putting this together.
So first thing is, this is a beefy boy. This thing is built solid. Not because we built it, because the Yugos, they did it right. So like you said earlier, 1.5mm receiver. Things that I like about this thing right off the bat when I built it was that a lot of guns have rivets in the receiver that are, you know, short rivets. This particular gun, right off the bat in the rear, has 2 rivets that go all the way through both sides of the receiver. Pretty cool. Big giant bulge front trunnion. In fact, when I went to when we re-welded this gun and put the front trunnion in the receiver, you know, normally that receiver goes in that trunnion pretty easily. You know, it's like a clamshell type situation. This thick receiver, it didn't want to press in there. We actually had to put extra pressure on it and build a little jig to press it in. Again, back to the rear trunnion, it's one big solid chunk. It's milled out. It's not a standard rear trunnion like you would think where it has a tang, which at first I wasn't a big fan of, but after seeing the way that the stock locks into it, it's super solid. I also
There's essentially a screw that comes in through here, and it's all the way through the rear of the buttstock that screws into the rear trunnion. The screw's like this long.
Which, if you think about it, you've got this amount of wood versus a little bit at the front. I've seen a lot of AKs actually crack at the front, or over time that screw will actually start to bend forward. I don't think you're going to have that problem with a solid screw all the way through this mass of wood.
But one thing I'll give credit to the Yugos for is the blued finish.
Yeah.
You know, I never really got into the Yugos like I mentioned earlier, but one thing that I just was always like, you know what, one of the guns I'm going to build one day, we're going to do a nice shiny blued finish like the way the Yugos did. Man, that is like, if you're into battlefield pickup or you're into like OG finish, I don't think it gets any better than that. I'm going to be honest with you.
And if you look at the spot welds, it almost looks like Polytech Norinco style, with that kind of like looks shiny, but you can still see the spot welds. And honestly, this gun looks rough, but if you take some oil and oil this blue receiver up, it'll shine. It's like a hot rod that you polish up after years of sitting in the barn. The other thing that I like about these guns with the robustness is these guns were built to launch rifle grenades. And I like that, especially if you're shooting subsonic ammo. You can flip this guy up and you basically turn your gun into a bolt action, which I think is cool. And being that they were built to shoot rifle grenades, if you look at the gas block, it's beefy. It's way more solid than any other AKM style or Bulgarian style AK gas block. That thing is solid. That being said, we can't get rifle grenades. However, there are some companies out there that are starting to make novelty rifle grenades. So these gas blocks are becoming available. And man, if you want like a traditional style, I mean, how cool is to be able to pop up something like that and go, I can launch a grenade right now. I mean, M203.
I might not do it, but I can if I want to.
You can't. This is America.
Yeah.
You might be able to. You might not be able to, but you can if you want to. Other than that,
pretty solid gun. And you can notice this one's here got an extra pin. So we'll be going out to the range and we'll be showing you guys how this thing performs. I say we put a rate reducer in this thing and just let it chug. Boom, boom, boom,
I'd say take the rate reducer out of it and let it run like a wild man. Cool things about this gun. Look at that. You've got a night sight that flips down. Same thing in the front. You've got a night sight that flips up. Not that you're ever going to use any of that.
And normally the tritium on these things is pretty much fucking cashed out too.
Yeah, most of the time they're not working. Occasionally you get one that's still working. Even though, like I said, you're never going to use this stuff, just like the grenade launcher sight and stuff. Just like on the Yugo SKSs, you're never going to use that unless you make your own little grenades. You're not going to use that stuff, but I still think it's cool. I like it. I don't know why. Maybe it's the nostalgia, I want to be Ian McCullum with Forgotten Weapons and have a historically correct firearm. I don't know. But I like it. It's there, and the fact that we can still get these is awesome, so you can get them while you can.
Yugo kits were the ones that were the cheapest.
For a long time.
Kits were out there.
Yeah.
I remember Yugo kits you were buying for like $160. They were probably the milled kits, but they were M70, M72 milled kits. But this gun, oh, look at that.
And three spots is always better than two.
Yeah. Oh,
three holes is better than two.
The marks on the receiver, too.
URJ. I don't know what those stand for, but I know that they stand for full auto and freedom.
Yep.
If you hear somebody say, oh, the Yugo guns aren't good, don't necessarily believe that. Like we said multiple times tonight, this gun's built like a tank. These things are over-engineered and overbuilt. That being said, they are a little heavier, and I'm not big on weight. Obviously, I'm not the biggest guy, but nevertheless, I still think this is a very viable weapon.
In conclusion, I wish that I would have gotten into Yugos a little bit sooner. I just was too much of an elitist. I wanted the Russian stuff, the Egyptian stuff, which I'm glad I did that, but I really do regret that I didn't get into Yugos much sooner. So I appreciate you helping us put that M70 together. Stay tuned because we're going to have some range footage on this here soon on the Cleco 47 page. Anything else you want to add about weapon genetics? Now people can get in touch with you?
If you need a gun built, if you got a kit and you realize it's out of your ballpark of skills, or maybe you just don't have the right tools or the time, send it to Weapon Genetics. We can build you a clone correct gun, or we can build you a Gucci gun that's gold plated and it's got the shoulder thing that goes up, or whatever you desire. In relation with Khyber Customs, we can get you all sorts of ALG triggers and rails and cheese grater handguards, anything you need, and then we can Cerakote it, laser engrave it, put it together the way you want. So I know the AR world kind of owns the customization thing, but the AK world is catching up very quickly.
And we're having fun doing it.
You gonna be at the bash?
And we're gonna be at KALASHBASH. Yeah. And we're gonna be drinking beer.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've shown you the rifle. Now you've decided that you want to own one. The next thing is trying to figure out what kind of accessories. We have a company called Khyber Customs that I own. I've run this business for about 5 years. You can see behind me that we've built quite an operation here at the Khyber compound. I want to talk to you about what I have found as being some of the most popular products that we have here for the Yugo pattern rifles. First and foremost is going to be our Yugo Link style Swiss grater. We have it in 3 different designs. There's a Swiss grater, we have a slotted here, and we have another one called our Hater grater. But these are essentially ventilated handguards. We made these to fit a variety of Yugo style rifles, including the M70, the M92 pistols that are coming in from Zastava, and they mount pretty simply. You just remove the upper handguard and put these on. We were the original developer of these, so probably one of the most popular products. The factory safety selectors are cool, but if you want something a little more modernized for defense or for competition purposes, we stock the Krebs custom selectors. You basically pull the selector up and pull it out. It installs in about 1.5 minutes. We have those here. Light mounts. This is a really cool one. We've partnered up with CDM Gear to manufacture an ambidextrous style light mount that mounts directly to the barrel, so you can actually mount it on both sides. You'll see that there's clearance here on the bottom for the cleaning rod, but you can mount it on the left side or on the right side. It's ambidextrous. But these are priced right at about $35 for the light mount, so it's hard to beat that. But we stock that here at Khyber Customs. We make them for the Yugos and for the AKM. Let's talk about optic mounts. Optic mounts are probably one of the biggest things that we get asked about. What's the best way to mount optics? What I've got here is what I would consider to be 3 of the best ways to mount optics. First and foremost, let's go with the Ultimac. So the Ultimac is essentially going to replace your gas tube. This one I believe is probably for one of the more short barrel style variants, but to give you kind of an idea, you basically remove your gas tube from your rifle, and this basically mounts in its place so that you can mount optics to the gas tube. They're tried and true. You mount these to the barrel extremely tight. They should hold zero very well. The next one is going to be RS Regulate. So RS Regulate is essentially an optic mount that utilizes the side rail on the side of your receiver. So I'll show you on this rifle over here. And so RS Regulate is one of few companies that makes mounts that basically slide onto the rail. This is a forward bias, but they make one that is also rear bias, and they make one that is a full length rail that you can buy. We stock ours regularly. We've sold them for years. Really good friends with them. Awesome company. You can see that the amount of machining that's put into these, this is a very, very high quality piece of equipment that you can put on your rifle. And then last but not least, this is probably our top seller, mainly for the reason because we've been able to have these manufactured in volume and keep them in stock. But this is a company called Otero Arms. They make a mount that replaces the rear sight leaf. So it's pretty cool. The way it works is this rear sight leaf right here and the spring that holds it in place are removed, and this essentially takes its place. Now what's cool about these mounts is they make a couple different ones depending on if you want to run. In this case, this is the Trijicon MRO. They make one that runs the SRO. They've got one that runs all the primary arms and the Hollow Sun mini dots. They even have one that just has a straight piece of Picatinny, so you can mount whatever you want onto it. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to install. It's not permanent, so you can actually take it off and put your rear sight leaf back in place. And these retail right around 50, 60 bucks. So when it comes to accessories, when you buy your first Yugo rifle, come check out Khyber Customs. The link should be in the video. Check us out and check out the offerings that we have for these rifles.